We're about to walk through an ancient letter, chapter 3 of 1 Thessalonians, but this isn't going to be your typical study session. Nope. We are going to turn this text into a story, a series of mental images so clear and so powerful, you'll find it impossible to forget. So, let's get started.
First, just put yourself in this headspace for a second. Have you ever been so worried about someone, maybe a friend or family member who's far away, that it felt like this physical weight on your chest? That feeling of not knowing if they're okay? Well, that's exactly where our story begins. That's the emotional core of this whole chapter.
So our story kicks off with a man named Paul. He's in the huge city of Athens, but he feels totally alone, and he is just agonizing over his friends, this new community he helped start in a city called Thessalonica. The waiting is just eating him alive.
Verse 1. I want you to picture this. Paul is pacing back and forth in some sun-baked stone courtyard in Athens, all alone. His footsteps are echoing. The anxiety, the not knowing, it's become so intense he just can't take it anymore. He's reached his absolute limit.
So, verse 2. Paul has to do something. Imagine him calling over his most trusted friend, a younger guy named Timothy. He gives him this urgent mission. Picture Timothy. He nods, throws a travel pack over his shoulder, and just immediately sets off down that dusty road back to Thessalonica. His job? Check on their friends, build them up, and encourage them to keep going.
So what was Paul so worried about? Verse 3 tells us, he was afraid they'd be shaken. For this verse, I want you to see a big, strong tree getting hammered by a violent storm. The wind is just howling, right? But that tree's roots are so deep in the ground that it doesn't budge. It holds firm. That's the image. That's what Paul wanted for his friends, to be unshakable.
And these problems weren't a big surprise. Verse 4 is like a flashback. Picture the scene changing. See Paul talking to those same friends just a few weeks earlier. He's pointing out at the horizon where you can see dark storm clouds gathering, and he's telling them, look, hard times are coming. It's just part of the deal. And now, back in Athens, he knows that storm has finally hit.
Verse 5 really gets to the heart of Paul's fear. Imagine a beautiful, intricate tapestry that took forever to weave. That's all the work Paul put in. Now, picture a shadowy figure at the edge, just pulling on one single thread, threatening to unravel the entire thing. That was Paul's nightmare, that all his work, everything he did, could just be for nothing.
And right there, at the peak of his anxiety, the story just pivots. The tension is about to break in a huge way.
This is the moment. This is where it all changes. Timothy, the messenger, is back from his long trip, and the news he's carrying is about to completely flip the script on this entire story.
Okay, verse 6. Picture Timothy bursting back into that courtyard in Athens. But he's not exhausted, no way. He is energized. His face is lit up with this huge grin, and he just unloads this incredible report. They're strong, their faith is real, their love is deep, and they miss you every bit as much as you miss them.
So how does this news hit Paul? Verse 7 gives us the perfect image. I want you to see a man who's been lost in a desert, totally parched, about to collapse. And then someone hands him a canteen of cool, fresh water. That feeling, that wave of life-saving relief that just floods through your body, that is exactly what Paul felt.
The way he says it in verse 8 is so powerful. For now we live. Imagine Paul, who is hunched over with worry, now standing up straight. He throws his shoulders back and takes this huge, deep breath, like he's breathing for the first time. The news didn't just comfort him, it completely re-energized him. It brought him back to life.
And that deep, deep relief, it just explodes into something even bigger. It becomes this eruption of pure joy, of gratitude that Paul literally cannot contain.
For verse 9, picture Paul later that night. He's just looking up at this dark, clear sky filled with millions of stars, and he's trying to find the words to thank God, but he can't. His joy is as massive and uncountable as all those stars. That's the scale of his gratitude we're talking about here. And that joy fuels his prayers in verse 10. For this, see a single candle burning in a dark room. The flame is steady, it's bright, and it never, ever goes out. It just burns through the day and all through the night. That constant burning flame, that's Paul's prayer. This relentless, passionate desire to see his friends again and help them grow. This leads us right into the final part of the story. Paul's personal joy now channels into this powerful forward-looking prayer for the whole community and for their future. In verse 11, he prays to get back to them. You can feel how much he wants it.
So picture a road that is just a total mess, tangled, blocked with fallen trees, huge boulders, and then, whoosh, in an instant, it's all gone. The road is a straight, clear superhighway. That's what he's asking God to do. Just clear the path so he can get back to them.
Then verse 12, he prays for them. The visual here is just perfect. Imagine a perfectly still pool of water. A single drop falls right in the middle, and these ripples of love start expanding outward. They get bigger and bigger and bigger until they've touched the very edges of the pool, touching everyone. That's the idea, an ever-increasing, abounding love.
And finally, verse 13, the grand finale of his prayer. I want you to see the whole community, all the men and women of Thessalonica standing together. They're strong, they're radiant. It's like they're a collection of perfectly polished statues, not a single flaw or blemish on them, ready for some grand unveiling. That's Paul's ultimate hope for them.
So from agonizing worry to explosive joy, this chapter is just an incredible story of love and faith. And it ends not with a neat little bow, but with a prayer for a love that just keeps growing and expanding to touch everyone. And that kind of leaves us with a question to chew on. In our own lives today, what does a love that powerful actually look like?